Hello, everybody. Today I'd like to talk about Scott Adams, what he said, what happened to him afterwards, the cancellation of his comic strip Dilbert as a result of him saying what he said, and I just wanted to sort of examine this whole event a little bit more closely, just because, or not more closely, but from a slightly different angle than I've heard it discussed before. What was strange to me about this thing that he said is that it seemed to come out of nowhere. I would like to have known the context. I honestly would like to know what prompted him to make such a stand. That surely he knew it was going to, wind up getting him in trouble. Obviously, he didn't care, and God bless him for that. We need more people who are going to say what they think and not care about the consequences in the woke and censored world in which we live. But of course, it's much easier to be that way when you're a rich and famous person, and you're what is he in his mid-60s or so? What does he really have to lose? Maybe he just was tired of doing the cartoon strip and was ready to retire and just wanted to go out with a bang, and so maybe that's what he did. Maybe that's why he did or said what he said. But to me, it's missing context, and I would like to know. I think it would be more interesting. It would have been more interesting if he had said something like, "Here's what happened to me recently, and it has made me take this position." He didn't do that. He sort of hinted at something. He said that I've been doing charitable things for the black community for a while now, and all I ever get is called a racist for that, and I'm tired of it. So that's I guess to me hinting at what the precipitating event was, but it's not really saying it directly. I would also I also can't help but wonder if he had, made a couple of the more salient points without, without attaching it to this, this headline grabbing, white people need to stay the hell away from black people, quote. I'm wondering if he had, if the most salient and interesting and important points that he made might have been heard better if he had not just come across as an angry, cranky old man, just tired of this entire race of people. If he had said things like, I think there are obviously legitimate points that he made. First of all, he talked about a poll that was taken by, I believe, Rasmussen, which showed that something like a majority of blacks didn't like white people. That's worth, if that's true, if the poll is showing that that's true, then that's something that I personally find appalling. And I'd like to know more. I would like to question that whole paradigm. Like how is it okay for X% of blacks who were interviewed for this to just say openly that they were down on white people. It certainly wouldn't be something that if it were, you can bet that if there was a survey taken and that it showed the opposite, that the majority of white people felt this way about black people, that would be all over every major media outlet, and it would be all about how white people are terrible and, white people need to change and blah, blah, blah. But black people don't seem to be held to the same standard, and I think that's worth mentioning. And the other thing he mentioned is the violence, the black on white violence, that he was tired of it. That it was wearing him out to see footage of blacks attacking whites all the time. And neither of those points, if he'd made them, some people would have gotten upset, but the people who got upset could just cry more, right? Because those things are true. The extent of black on white violence, especially proportionally, considering the populations of the demographic in America of black people as opposed to white people, is way out of whack. And that's, I think it's completely legitimate to say this is wrong. This should not stand. We should not stand for this. We should draw attention to this, and maybe he could say something like, white people, if you want to just stop getting kicked around like this, be ready, be prepared, be able to defend yourselves, whatever, and he could have made that point while still saying, I'm not saying that all black people are blah, blah, blah. And I'm not inviting that you just be a vigilante and go out and attack random black people, blah, blah, blah. But, just something about the trend, which is real. Okay. And again, people don't like when you point things like this out, but they can't, and they'll call you racist for saying it, but they can't really, it's true. If you look at the statistics, if you look at objective statistics, it is true. Again, so those are three things I would say about Scott Adams' remarks. First of all, I would like to know what precipitated these comments. Second of all, I think that with the two major points that he made, the one being the fact that this poll shows that that the majority of black people are prejudiced against white people, that they have an animus towards white people, is worth drawing attention to and deploring, because it is deplorable, assuredly. And also the extent of black on white violence is also something that's worth talking about and drawing attention to. And I think he could have drawn attention to those two things without this distracting kind of just stay away from black people kind of comments, which are headline seizing and that make him sound more more just like an irrational, hateful curmudgeon, than if he just said, look, these are the facts. These two things in particular are factual. These are bad, and something needs to be done about these things. Again, he could have made those points without this overarching kind of stay the hell away from white people, stay the hell away from black people kind of comments, which I think obscure the legitimate points that he is making. Now, of course, would liberals still call him racist? Would mainstream media types still call him racist? Yes, I'm sure they would, because that's the way they are. They're shameless and they're dishonest and of course. But the point is, there are people who are out there who can be reached, who are willing to look beyond the headlines and see what he's really saying. And even with him having said all the things that he said, there's still people out there saying, I get it, I get what he's saying, including a lot of black people. There are a lot of YouTubers, on the conservative or libertarian YouTubers who are saying he's totally right. The points that he's making are completely legitimate. I think he would have had a chance of reaching more people if he had just made those couple of points. And also, if your message, if you do want to have the message that whites should stay away from blacks, that there should be a resegregation of not forced segregation, but voluntary segregation, then that sort of follows from the other stuff and doesn't need to be directly stated. If you're saying blacks are more likely to be violent towards whites, and blacks are more likely to be prejudiced against whites than vice versa, but many times over, well then that sort of makes the point in and of itself. Where are you as a white person likely to be safer and less hated on by people around you? If you, you don't have to say it directly. It just manifests itself in one's mind. Anyway, those are my thoughts on what Scott Adams said. I'd still like to know why he said it, and what precipitated it, and so forth. But I don't know if we'll ever know that for sure. I'm just, I just am interested in people's motivations all the time. It's just a, I don't know, kind of a hobby of mine. I'm an amateur psychologist, I guess. My dad was a professional one, and I'm an amateur one. So there you go. All right, so thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts below.